down. I'm a doctor in psychology. I have a doctorate from a school in Los Angeles that I worked at and that I went to school at, and also UCLA, and got my master's in public health. And I've been working in healthcare for 32 years and seen some shit. I've seen some shit go down because my patient populations are women with sexual trauma, acute inpatient locked psychiatric hospital patients, and people with so-called addictions. And those people are all amazing individuals who are very emotionally attuned and sensitive and have a lot of issues to work on and a lot of trauma to heal. And people often ask me, like, how does this rhythmia, work, and why do we have so much success, and why is it so popular, and why is all this happening so fast? And the reason is because we believe in your actual deep healing. We really believe that you can get past whatever it is you're dealing with. Now, what is it that we're dealing with, right? What are the common sort of problems that people face in the world? There's a lot of depression. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of substance abuse, and which leads to addictions. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of pain, right? There's a lot of suffering going on. There's a lot of feeling disempowered. There's a lot of feelings of, and a lot of oppression and violence and victimization. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that we deal with as humans. Unfortunately, that's what life's about, and we want to get past it. We want to heal from it. We want to make really good decisions and have clarity, and not be under a position where we get hurt anymore as best we can. It's going to happen anyway, but we want to be able to deal with it differently. So people always say, there's a buzzword or whatever that goes around. People say, you got to raise your vibration. That's a high vibration activity, or that person is a really good vibe, right? What does that mean? Like, what the heck does that even, what does that mean, right? Well, what I've come to understand is, first of all, I studied all the sciences at UCLA, which is brutal. If anybody wants to go be a pre-med, which I was a pre-med at undergrad at UCLA, that is insane. Insane. I didn't go to medical school, but I studied pre-med sciences, took them all. And in those classes, I learned about vibrational frequencies of all things. It starts at the molecular level. And everything is vibrating. Everything is. Now, what people refer to about a high vibrational frequency that's good for you or positive, right, is that the higher vibrational frequency that you can get to, whether with your mind, your psyche, your physical body, the more insightful you'll be, the more healed you'll be, the more clear you'll be, the more in tune and tapped into other frequencies that are around you at that level that you'll have. And it's like really exciting stuff. Now, they also talk about, well, that's a low vibrational frequency. You should stay away from that. What does that mean? Drugs and alcohol have a low vibrational frequency. Violence has a low vibrational frequency. Oppression does. All kinds of like negative things that we think about are referred to as having a low vibrational frequency. So if I live in those low frequencies, my life sucks usually. If I live in a higher frequency, I'm doing better. Doesn't mean my life doesn't suck to some degree, but it means that I'm doing better. I have some opportunities to tap into other frequencies that are around me that are cool. Now, just think about it, right? Logically, if I have a drug or alcohol problem, who am I hanging out with? Probably other drug and alcohol people. And I'm probably hanging out in places that are dangerous or sketchy, or where there's weird stuff happening, or there's inappropriate things happening, and there's limited thinking going on around me, and selfishness, and you name it, right? The environment of a person that's really deep on drugs and alcohol is a low vibrational environment. So their internal frequency is matching their external, and they're kind of like hovering in this space, right? So let's take it to the next level, right? You're up above that, and you're doing well. You're sober, you're happy, you got other people around you that are sober and happy. You got success happening. You have positive thoughts going on with you, and there's other people that are encouraging, and there's like this whole nother world, right? So the challenge is, how do you kind of navigate between these worlds? And those are, let's say, the two opposite ends of the spectrum. There's a whole bunch of stuff in between. How do you deal with it? Well, if you have a goal to be in a higher vibrational frequency as a person and resonate with positive things and good things for you and healthy things, right? Then you have to do things physically that get you in that vibrational realm. Now, at Rhythmia, we teach people, and a lot of people know this before I come in here, but we teach people that humanity has a dual nature. It has a physical self and a spiritual or emotional self. And so there's these two sort of parts of us. And when our physical self, our physical self is learning and struggling and growing, but also making mistakes and doing things that aren't great. Our physical self vibrates kind of like sometimes up and sometimes down. Sometimes it's fluctuating, and that's just what life is. That's just how we learn, and we're growing, and we change, and we figure things out. That's a life experiences based on these ups and downs, physically, vibrationally. But then we have our spiritual self, and our spiritual self is perfectly vibrating at a very high level that's in tune with the universal truths, with collective consciousness. People talk about that, with energies that are productive, healing, and loving. And so our spiritual self is in that zone. Now, what happens when our physical self is in such deep contrast to that spiritual self? Well, then we have an emotional or a dissociative split that occurs between our physical self and our spiritual self. And then we're dissociated. And in psychology and psychiatry, we talk about people that have dissociative identity disorders, and they have dissociation that they happen to have attachment issues. They unplug and they're not present. There's a lot of PTSD that creates, or trauma creates this. And then the syndrome after that is post-traumatic stress that comes after. And there's all these different conditions, right, that are been labeled and used to understand and try to work with people that are in this dissociative, unplugged state. So if you're unplugged from yourself, your physical body is not connected to your spiritual self, there's like an incongruence, then you're in conflict, and your spiritual self and your physical self are not working together collaboratively. They're kind of fighting each other. And that's what causes disease and illness and confusion and hurt feelings and trauma, and all this kind of stuff happens that's negative. So the goal is to come back to being unified. So having your spiritual self and your physical self unite and be plugged in, and then work collaboratively together. Now that's hard for some people that are in situations that they're being, they're addicted to drugs, or they're on a bunch of meds that are not working for them, or they're in a situation that's abusive and they're hard to get out of it, right? So sometimes it's hard for us to kind of get out of that and connect. But that's what we're doing at Rhythmia. That's our goal, is we're trying to help people come here, see this split, see what they're showing the world that's not really them, see how they're not connected to their true authentic self. And then through plant medicine and our program, which involves a lot of different modalities like meditation and yoga and healthy food and classes and all kinds of stuff, we're helping you connect and plug back in and merging again with your true self, with your physical self and your soul coming back together. And that process allows for the healing of all this pain and all this stuff you've been through with your physical self, and it helps you heal. And you work together with your spiritual self to get back on track and have clarity and empowerment. So that's what we're doing at Rhythmia. That's the goal. Now, a lot of different places have the same goal. Western psychology has this goal. They might not frame it like that, but that's what they're doing. There's lots of different philosophies in life that have this goal. Getting back to your true self and being in tune with your spiritual existence, right? Your true authentic you. Now, we all have imperfections physically. We all have doubts and concerns and physical ailments and things. And that's part of being a human being. That's part of life. And so we can overcome those things by trusting in the spiritual self and following our spiritual guidance and following our sort of intuitive nature, our emotional clarity. That's how we get down this path of being happy and getting out of a lower vibrational frequency into a higher frequency. And in that high frequency, it's cool because there's a lot of things happening there that help propel you even higher frequencies. And so it's like this like sort of momentum that you start to achieve when you're moving forward like that. And, there's all kinds of different, it's easier to kind of fall back down. Sometimes we feel it's easier to kind of jump down into the lower frequency because it's kind of, you can be lazy there, kind of just sit around there. But once you get into this vibe of higher frequency, it's very inviting, and it's super, it's something that's like your heart wants. and it's a beautiful experience. So that's what basically in a nutshell is happening at Rhythmia every week, is that we get people show up on the weekend. They're dissociated to some degree, some a lot, some less. And they're here to see that that's the case and then plug back into themselves and get healing. That's what they're here for. And that's what's happening. So come down to Rhythmia, check out our high vibrational frequency resort. And our high vibrational frequency country, Costa Rica, is very high vibe, very. It's a blue zone. The people are the healthiest, some of the healthiest in the world. And there's some of the happiest people in the world. All the reports are out there. Costa Rica and Pura Vida. It's a great place. Come down here and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. See you next week.